and my experience doing performance testing of web applications and APIs as well. So apart from performance testing, I am actively involved in uh, performance analysis and profiling of the applications as well. So for performance testing, majorly the tools we are using like JMeter, Load Runner, we have Load and other tools as well. And for analysis part, we are using Dynatrace and different profiling tools as well. So since we are going to learn about JMeter in this entire session, so we will be talking about JMeter, and I will be giving you a solid background of performance testing, and I will relate all those things that is required for performance testing, that what performance testing is, and how we can use JMeter to do performance testing of any web application or any application that is under the scope of JMeter. So keeping this agenda, let's get started with this session. So basically these are what the agenda of today's session that I have pointed here. But any question or any doubt or any out of the box question apart from these topics, so don't hesitate to put those questions. So definitely you can put those questions in that box. Button box, you can just request if you have to me say that you need to, so that I can give you a unmute and you can directly talk to me. By default, you all guys are on mute, so you will not be able to talk directly. So just request if you have to talk something, if you have any specific question. Apart from that, just to have email IDs. This is the email ID where if you have some any other question that you can just mail those questions to my email ID as well, which is jmeter@way2automation.com. All right, so this is the official Way to Automation JMeter email ID. You can drop your questions here as well. All right, so let's get started with this first topic about performance testing. All right, so anyone would like to just give a one-line definition of performance testing? Any one of you? All right, so I believe that most of you guys are from testing background, having some background of about automation, manual, or other type of testing. So if you guys have any testing background, so it will be very easy to you to understand about performance testing and all those concepts. If you do not have a testing background, that will be a bit tough for you to directly test, but I will try to make those gaps clear throughout this entire session. But if you have a basic idea about any testing like automation or manual, so it will be a very easy task to you to get a good grasp on this performance testing concept. So no problem. So let's start what actually performance is. So basically what we do in performance testing. So I'm not going to the exact definition kind of things. I will try to make those things in a practical manner to give you a better understanding about performance testing, that what actually is in a practical scenario, right? Guys, what about the audio that you are getting? Just give me a minute, guys. Okay, so sorry for the interruption. Okay, so let's get it started. So basically, what we are going to do in performance testing. So first, try to understand what performance testing is. Basically, we should be having an application. Like if you have a testing background, you must be having a application where you do some validation kind of things of the functionalities. So Pooja, is my audio quality is not good and it's breaking continuously? Just hold on. All right, I got a confirmation from Arun that it seems to be fine now. So guys, just interrupt me if you are not able to understand and the sound quality seems not good to you. Just give me a just a heads up in chat box. All right. So I'm just proceeding. Just a minute. Okay, so what exactly performance testing? If you go about the definition, so you will be finding many definitions about performance testing. Like performance testing is done to, evaluate the speed, responsiveness, and other performance characteristics of the application. So basically, those are the terminologies that has different meanings. So each terminology has different meaning. So I will try to make you understand from a scratch that what exactly performance testing is and why we do that. Okay, so to give you a better understanding about performance testing, let me have a scenario. So let me have a case where performance testing comes into the picture. So just forget about performance testing, that what exactly performance testing is. First, I will give you a use case where we will be having some problem, and that gives a arise of performance testing, that there is something required that need to be done or that should be done before before that situation. So let's take an example. So we are familiar about Flipkart. Basically, we do online shopping from Flipkart. So this is a very popular Indian website that provides online shopping. So we do shopping from Flipkart. So most of the cases we use Flipkart, and that works well. So that operates smoothly. We do some stuffs. We go to Flipkart. We log in into the Flipkart. We search for few products. We got our desired product. We add those products into in our cart, and we proceed further payment, and we do success payment, and our order is placed. Finally we log out from the system, right? So this is what we do in a very specific way to do some uh, order placement online from Flipkart. So most of the cases we do not feel any problem from Flipkart. We smoothly log in into the system. We just go to Flipkart, log in into the system. We easily logged in. We do not get any lagginess or any slowness. Okay, we search for product. Our product is returned easily back to me. So I type jeans in my search box, and I get easy results about jeans. So there are a lot of jeans available on my screen. But think about a situation when there is a big billion day sale is going on, right? So just uh, take yourself at that point of time. So what happened at that point of time? So let's say that the sale is going to start at midnight 12. So if your sale is going to start at midnight 12, So you will be facing some difficulty at that point of time. So already you have some items, so you have decided that you have to buy three items, right, at big billion day sale, right? So uh, plan is like, most of the people do, like they have already added those items into the bag, or they have just marked those items as a wish list. So those are the things people do. But what happens once the big billion day sale start, you will be facing difficulty if you're going to log into the system. If you are already not logged in, you will be just getting lagginess or slowness, so you will be not be easily able to log in into the system. So uh, upon multiple tries, if you get logged into the system, you will be facing difficulties in searching product. If you are going to search for product, basically earlier before the big billion sale, you will be able to search your product easily, say in 5 seconds of time. But during the big billion sale day, you will be finding your product result. If you search for a product jeans, you will be getting results in around 20 seconds, or more than 20 seconds, in 60 seconds, or even more than that. Or sometime it happens like, it spins and says that timeout, or website is not responding, or in some cases 500 error. Okay, so server error. So these situations arises, right? So upon multiple tries, you are able to search your product as well. But once you go to add to that product into your cart, that will not happen. So you, because all these situations happening because of some reasons, right? So there are some reasons behind that. There are some problems that is going behind the scene that you are not aware of, right? So you are only aware about the UI, that your UI is not responding, but what is happening exactly behind the scene, you are not aware of that. So basically, I'm just giving you a scenario that what happens during those situations, right? So these are the problems that we face during such big billion sales, or during such sale times, right? So this is a case, or this is a situation where performance testing comes into the picture, right? So at that point of time, we are now considered to have performance testing of Flipkart or any website that is not working properly. Okay, so to avoid those situations, performance testing comes into the picture, right? Okay, so what exactly we do in performance testing? So first, you got the concept of performance testing, that where performance testing comes. Okay, so performance testing comes into picture in a situation where some performance issues goes. Because if you talk about the Flipkart, where you are going to search any product but the product is not returning, so your search result is not complete, or you are not able to add that product into bag. So this is a performance issue of that application, because that application, which is Flipkart, is not performing well, right? That should perform well in a situation where you search, and that should return your search result quickly. If you're going to add to bag any item, your item will be added quickly, but that is not happening at that point of time. So this is what a performance issue is. Okay, so here comes performance testing. So what we do in performance testing, so we test, or we just evaluate, we just test these situations for any application. Let's say that if your application is Flipkart, for that you have to do performance testing. So you have to just you know make that situation where you are able, where you are just getting those problems. So you are not able to add to bag, you are not able to search your product, you are not able to place your order. So what happened at that point of time when big billion sale was going on? So on normal days, say that there are different 10,000 users or 10,000 customers, those uses that Flipkart website on regular basis. But during the big billion sale day, there are more than 1 million customers. actively using that website. So there are so many customers, there are so many users on the website working actively. That's the reason your website is not functioning well, right? Okay, so this is what a performance issue is, and that kind of situation we detect early from the production. So because your website Flipkart is already running up and running in production environment, there millions of customers are using and your website is not working well. So to avoid those kind of situations that your customers are going to face those issues, those problems in actual, so to avoid those situations we just simulate those kind of things in a non-production environment, and we do performance testing to actually find out those problems that if 1 million users are using Flipkart. This is just an example of Flipkart. I'm not exactly uh, pointing Flipkart, but this can be any application that for that you are going to do performance test. So if 1 million are using Flipkart or any application, right, any website, so what exactly problem we are going to face, right? So at that point of time, if I'm going to hit that website, or if I'm going to overload that website with 1 million of users, so what exactly problem I'm going to face? So if my website is working well at that point of time, so we have some parameters, we have some uh, uh, criteria defined that what exactly we have to see that if my website is working well or not, my home pages are loaded well or not, so my application is performing well in a way that my search results are getting quickly, my item are getting add to bag. So we have some parameters that we have to test, right? So for that we do performance testing, right? So performance testing is basically a situation where we make our application or website in a stress situation or in a specific situation that we have to measure performance for that point of time, right? Any question till now that you have about performance testing? You got any idea about performance testing from this example? All right, so if you have any question, right, I got something. Right, so it's clear. Thank you, Arun. Thanks for the confirmation. Right, so this is what about the performance testing is. And if you guys are already aware about the automation and manual, so what happens like in automation testing? So if I talk about automation or manual, so manual is what that we do some validation. There is let's say there is a change in add to bag functionality. So if it's a e-commerce website and there is a change in add to bag functionality, so you will be validating that change, that let's say that add to bag button has been changed, right? So you will be validating that the button uh, alignment, colors, and other styles that has been changed is applicable or is available in the change or not. So this is what a functionality validation kind of thing. So we do functional validation in automation and manual testing, but in performance testing we do not do such functional validations. We do some different validation, those are called performance validation. So those are different characteristics that we validate. So those characteristics are like response time. So what is the response time of my page load? Earlier my page was loading in 2 seconds, and now after the add to bag functionality change, what is my add to bag response time? Earlier it was loading in 2 seconds, and now in how much time it is loading? It is loading more faster in 1.5 second, or it has been worse than ever, it's loading in 2.5 second or 3 second. So there are different characteristics that we measure in performance testing, like response time, resource utilization. So these are you know some different terms that you will be get to know familiar very soon. So resource utilization in the sense, so this is we are talking about the server resource utilization, right? So server CPU memory, and other characteristics. Let's say that earlier my add to bag functionality, so having my old functionality, my CPU utilization was 3%, 5%. But when there is a change in add to bag functionality, my CPU utilization of my server where my application is running has been increased because of some multiple objects are created, or some different issues have been, have come into picture. So there are different characteristics that we validate through performance testing that we'll come to know in few next sessions, or I will try to give you a better understanding about those characteristics in this session as well. Okay, so in automation and manual we do a functional check, but in performance we do some other characteristic check. Those are performance characteristics like CPU, memory, response time, and other different characteristics that we will talking about. Okay, now let's talk about JMeter. So what JMeter is. So before we talk about JMeter, let me launch the JMeter first. All right, so I will let you know that how exactly you can launch the JMeter. I will give you a setup in instruction as well. So this is what my JMeter is. The version is 5.1.1. Okay, so before I talk about what exactly JMeter is, let me guide you that you can also install JMeter and make it up and running. Okay, so I will jump to this what JMeter is, but before that I will just making you a installation and setup. So there is a pre-requirement for JMeter that you must be having Java up and running. So only thing that you need to take care that Java should be set up in your system and with with correct path. So you can check about the Java. If you already have Java up and running in your system, you can go to the command prompt and you can simply type about, you can simply just type Java, right? So if you type Java, you will be getting so many options like D64 server, or simply you can type Java hyphen version. You can check about the version as well. So I'm running 1.8 something, right? So if you already have installed Java in your system, you can simply download JMeter and just launch the JMeter. I will just let you know that how exactly you can do that. But if you are not set up with the Java, I will encourage you to go through. There are a lot of tutorials that are available. If you go through in my first in my first batch tutorial as well, in first batch session, there are already instruction to set up Java as well. Even you can refer to any Selenium recording session taken by Raman. There are how to set up and make Java up and running in your system. So there are steps there as well. Okay, so I'm considering that already there are Java set up in your system and running. So if this is already up and running in your system, just go to download JMeter. So you can simply go through Google and type JMeter download. All right, so once you type JMeter download, so download Apache JMeter, or you can directly use this URL jmeter.apache.org/download. All right, here you will be getting Apache JMeter 5.1.1 required Java 8 plus. So make sure that you have Java 8 plus in your system to use JMeter 5.1.1 version. Since this is the latest version, we will be doing all the sessions. We will be using this version throughout this course. So there are binaries available, so you have to download the binaries only. So simply download this zip file. Basically, I believe that most of you guys are working on Windows machine, so zip will be easy to you to download it and unzip it. So just simply click Apache JMeter 5.1.1.zip. So since I have already downloaded that, I'm not going to download it again. But once you download that, it doesn't matter on what location you put that file in your system. Keep it anywhere. inside any folder as your ease. Extract that, just go to that download and extract that. So once you extract, you will be getting this folder, Apache JMeter 5.1.1. So what you have to do, you have to go inside this folder. So there are a lot of folders available inside this folder as well. So go inside bin. So once you go inside bin, so there is a jmeter.bat. So if you are in a Windows machine, you have to just double click on this. So this is a executable Windows batch file. So once you double click on it, you will be getting this window open, which is a JMeter, right? So this is what the simple GUI of JMeter. So this is a graphical user interface, and you will be getting this JMeter up and running. So not to worry about that. This is looking very simple, and there is nothing to do about this. So you will be getting only few these buttons and nothing here and nothing here. So not to worry about that. I will be making you all these things clear to you in just next few minutes. But coming back to this, so if you are in a Windows machine, just double click on jmeter.bat. But if you are using a Mac or Linux machine, just go to jmeter.sh. So this is the sh file for Linux machine. Just go to this path from your terminal and just execute that /jmeter.sh, right? And if you are using that, going to use this JMeter on your Linux machine, make sure that Java is also up and running on that machine as well. So I'm not going to demonstrate about the setup in Linux, but if any one of you have Linux machine and want to set up JMeter on your Linux machine as well, just reach out to me. Just give me a mail. I will give you a throughout instruction that how exactly you can set up Java over there as well. You can set path, and you can launch JMeter and make JMeter up and running on your Linux machine. Okay, so just coming back to this. So once you launch this JMeter, so you will be getting this GUI, right? So I believe that most of you guys have just done this step or not. Just let the JMeter download and try to make this JMeter up and running in your system. Okay, so let's come back to this. So what is JMeter, right? So basically, talking about the definition, you can just search about JMeter about overview. So JMeter uh, is a Apache product. So it's a Apache Software Foundation product, which is a open source software, is a 100% pure Java application designed to load, test functional behavior and measure performance, right? So 3-4 important points that you have to note only: that it's a open source software, it's a 100% pure Java application, and it's designed to measure the performance. So it was originally designed for testing web applications, but uh, has since expanded to other test functions. So basically it was designed to uh, test the web applications like Flipkart, Amazon, or any application that is running on Wave. But you can test Windows applications and other applications as well, right? So talking about JMeter, what exactly it is, so it's a performance testing tool. So using this tool, we do performance testing. And to make you a better picture, I'm just drawing a simple picture for you. So this is of what your system is. Inside that you have your JMeter installed. So this is what JMeter is. So what we do, let's say this is your website, it's your server. Let's say that it's a Flipkart for now, because we have taken an example of Flipkart, so it will be easy for you, for your understanding. So let's say this is a Flipkart for which you have to do performance test. So what happening exactly, so what we are doing in performance testing, we are putting load on the website. So why we are putting load? Because we have to do performance test. So because from the example, we got a situation where when big billion sale day was going on, so there were millions of users using your website, and at that point of time your website performance was not well. Your pages were not loading properly, your item was not getting add to bag, and even you were not able to place order. So to avoid that situation, first we have to create that situation, and we have to find out a number that how many exactly active users, either those that number is 1 million, or 1 lakh, or 50,000, or 10,000, or 5,000. So what exactly the number of users are that can actively use my website, and my website is working properly without any problem, right? So we have to find out that number, and that is what performance testing is. So in my situation, I'm going to find out a number of users, that how many actually users can use my website actively, and my website will not be get into any problem. So all those users, I'm not sure that how many users, how much these users are, but those users should not face any slowness in my website. So those users will be smoothly able to add product, search product, and place order. So this is what a performance testing is. So I'm going to find out the number of these users, that how many these users, what is exactly the number of users for my website that can actively use my website, right? So this is what a performance testing is. So there can be a different goal of performance testing. Either we can find out the number of users by keeping few points in mind, that what is the response time of my website when those users are using. Let's say that my website response time is 2 second when there are 1,000 users are using, and it has increased to 3 second when there are 1,300 users are using my Flipkart website, and it has increased to 10 second when there are 3,000 users are using. So these are the numbers that we have to find out, and just show these numbers to stakeholders from my performance testing. So these numbers we have to derive from my performance testing, and this is a business decision, that what exactly number they want. If they want uh, a, a flawless smooth experience for users, they will go for these numbers. So they will say that okay, so 2 second is the number that I want my user not not to wait more than 2 seconds. So I will consider that 1,000 user is the capacity for my website. Or if I do not care about a smooth experience about user, and I say that 3 second will be fine for my users, so I can say that 1,300 is the capacity of the users, that 1,300 are the users that can actively use my website, and my website will perform well. Okay, so these are what the numbers that we are going to find out, right? So we have to now generate those 1,000 users. So what is happening exactly during the big billion sale day? So during the big billion sale day, there are millions of users using the website, right? And we are getting slowness in my response time. So slowness in the sense, earlier search product was happening in 2 seconds, but it is now happening in 10 seconds, right? So I have to find out the numbers. I have to simply I have to again simulate that situation when millions of users using my website. But how exactly I can arrange those millions of users, right? So there is one option that again I have to just advertise about big billion sale day, and say that there is a big billion sale day going on, so that all users will come and use my website. And again I have to just find out the problems, that what exactly number of users are, and what is the response time using uh, when there are 10,000 users, what is the response time? When there are 20,000 users, what is the response time? When users has increased on my website, so when there are 50,000 users, what is the response time? So it's a not realistic case, and it's not a way to do performance testing. So we have some tools like JMeter. So this tool has capability to generate those users, right? So what exactly JMeter does? So JMeter is a tool that can generate load into your system. So load in the sense that can generate users, or you can say customers. So these are the customers that are using your website. But if those customers are not using your website, and you have to do performance test of your website, and you have to arrange so many users, and you want those users to actively use our website. So not to worry about those actual users, just go to use JMeter, and using this JMeter you can generate hundred of thousand of millions of users load on your website. Okay, so I'm not exactly referring this as a actual customer, but I am just simulating those number of customers from my JMeter. So this is what load is. Load in the terms of users or customers that will be hitting my website. So this users will act like actual user, like actual user does. So actual user go your website, hit home page, right, search for product, search product, add to bag, add to bag, payment, and place order, right? So these users which are generated from your JMeter will do the same thing at your website. So I can it now it's in my hand. I can generate 10,000 users, I can generate 20,000 users, I can generate 50,000 users, I can generate 1 lakh users, I can generate 1 million users. So it's in my hand that I can generate n number of user as I want, and I can have that number as well. So say that when I am generating 10k user, what is the response time of my add to bag page? When I am generating 20k users, so when generating 20k users, in the sense when there are 20,000 users actively using my website, what is the response time of add to bag, or what is the response time of payment? So in this way I can generate n numbers of user and can measure the response time of my website pages, and I can find a number that beyond 50k. That number can be any number. Let's say that I found a number that beyond 50k my add to bag page performance is going to worst. So up to 50k, 50,000 users, the response time of my add to bag is 3 seconds, but beyond 50k it's going to be 15 seconds. So it's a big difference, or it's, you can say my website is not going to sustain beyond 50k users. So this is what a number that we are going to find uh, through our performance testing using these JMeter GUI. Okay, so if you come back to this definition again, so from here it's a Java based application designed to load the functional behavior and measure performance. So this is what the measure performance that I have covered here, right? So and this is a load, so designed to load and measure performance. So this is what a load in the terms of users, 20k, 10k, 50k, that we are generating on my website, right? So summarizing this, JMeter is a performance testing tool that is used to generate load on your target application, right? And since it's a free open source application and it's a 100% Java based application, there is no requirement of any licensing, or you need not to pay anything about license to anyone. So apart from JMeter, there are different tools available in the market, which are LoadRunner. If you are heard about LoadRunner, NeoLoad is there, and WaveLoad is there, and there are other different tools available in the market, right? But there are some pro and cons of those tools as well. So major of the cons is like they all are required to have license or enterprise license to use those tools to their full capacity. But if you are aware about the licensing cost, those tools are too much costly in terms of enterprise license. So basically JMeter is getting demanded, and it's very getting very demand in market for performance testing kind of things. Since it's a 100% Java application, you can use this JMeter on your Windows machine, on your Linux machine, Mac machine. So it's a cross platform, and it has no such platform dependency. Even you can write your script on Windows machine, you can use that script in the sense there are if you are aware about the Selenium script or any automation script. So those are automation scripts. So in the similar way, we do have performance script as well. So you can use those performance script and you can generate that performance script on your Windows machine. You can use that script without making any single change on your Linux machine, on your Mac machine. So it's vice versa. So it's a pure Java application and cross-platform compatibility 100%, right? So these are what the ease of JMeter. No license required, 100% Java applications, free of cost, easy to use. So there are other various features and functions that we will be talking about the JMeter in the next few minutes. Okay, so there are a lot of benefits using JMeter that we have. So what is JMeter that we have already covered? So why we need JMeter? I believe that my this example that why we need JMeter. So to simulate load or to generate multiple users load on my website, to do performance testing of my website, we actually require JMeter. And the role of JMeter is also to generate some load on your website, to make your website overload, so that you can actually find out the performance of your website, right? So guys, I'm uh, if you have any question, just put that question to me. Don't hesitate to have your question. If you have any doubt, any concept related thing, any terms, any term that in between that I have talked you are not aware, just let me know. So that is a question from Arun Bansal, that do we have any limit how much load we can put on an application using JMeter? So from JMeter side, there is no limit. You can have n number of load, you can generate n number of load. Only the thing you require that the hardware requirement. So let's say that if you are on a window machine and you have to generate uh, more than 10,000 of users load, so make sure that the JMeter which is running on your machine should be having the machine should be having a good amount of memory, you know, and a good CPU, so that your user load is high, and your JMeter would be able to use your system resource to generate that much of users. So from JMeter side, there is no such bar that how many users you can generate. You can generate ultimate n number of users, so it's only bounded by your system resource. Let's say that if you have a 2 GB of RAM and a only a single core machine, so it would be tough to generate more than 10,000 of users on a single machine which is not having a good resource or not having a good CPU memory. All right, so I believe you got my answer, that there is no such bar that how many threads can be generated through JMeter. You can generate n number of threads. Yes, Ujjwal, please ask your question. If you have to talk to me, I can just give you a unmute as well. All right, so you are on unmute. If you have to talk, you can just have your question as well. Okay, so sorry, I missed that question in your chat. So only to generate the load, that only task. Okay, so since we are not just covering only JMeter throughout this entire session, so if I say that if you're going to join this entire course, even if you are going to join this course, you will not be only bounded to JMeter, that you will be using JMeter to only generate load. But apart from JMeter, you will be able to understand each and every concept which is required to do performance testing, right? So let me give you a clear picture about it. So I'm just taking another paint. All right, so we are learning here about JMeter and performance testing, and not only about the JMeter. Okay, so your question is that will JMeter be used only to generate load? So the answer is not. JMeter is not only limited to generate load. And if we talk about this entire course, we are not going to learn about only JMeter, that JMeter is whether we are only going to use JMeter to generate load, but we are going to cover JMeter and performance testing. So there are a lot of things included and attached to JMeter while doing performance testing, right? If I say that go use JMeter and generate load, right? Since performance testing and JMeter is strongly connected, you will not be able to generate load without understanding the performance terminologies and performance you know uh, uh, things, right? So there are so many things that are related to performance testing. So if I come back to JMeter, right, and if I go to add thread user thread group, so you will not be able to understand what exactly this thread group is. You will not be able to basically, if you have some idea, that's fine, but most of the users that are new to JMeter will not be able to understand what is this ramp up is, right? So what is this delay thread creation until needed is, and what is this start next thread loop or stop thread count or stop test? So this is a course where JMeter and performance testing is strongly related, and we will be covering all those aspects related to performance testing about each and every topics. There is a course content shared as well. So I will be connecting this JMeter to performance testing entirely. Okay, and upon completion of course, you will be completely having a good picture about performance testing and JMeter, that what exactly JMeter is and how it is integrated with performance testing. So I will be covering most of the performance concepts during this throughout this course, and all the available features and options that we have in JMeter. I will give you a solid connection through the performance testing of these features, right? So these options, these elements, I will be connecting these elements through performance testing, right? Make sense? Just a minute. Okay. Okay, please have your question. If you have any question, just have that in chat box. Ankur, do you have any question? Ankur, please put that, right? Okay, so uh, uh, we have covered this downloading and installation. So now let's quickly move to the GUI part, and just let me give you a understanding about few of the elements, a few of the things that are basic things that are available in JMeter. Okay. All right, so there are two JMeters open. Let me close this one now. Okay, so once you launch your JMeter, I believe most of you are having your JMeter up and running. So once you launch your JMeter, you will be having this option. So there is a menu bar which has file, edit, and something. So there is a one toolbar as well, where we have these options like play, start, and start, no pause, stop, and so many things, right? So since these things are fairly new to you, and I believe no, Ujjwal, actually I was not getting your audio. Just give me a minute, huh? No, I was not able to get your audio. Sorry for that. Just have your question again, but you are not audible yet. Just check that if you're not on mute from my side. You are unmute. Just check at your end that okay, your audio is not coming to me. Seems some problem. No problem. You can have your question in chat box, or you can just drop me a mail if you have some other specific question. But I believe that I was able to answer your question. Okay, guys. So um, I'm just moving to the next part. I'm just making you understand about JMeter terminologies. Okay, so once you launch this JMeter, you will be getting only this now single element, which is says that this is a test plan, but you will be not getting any other thing. So this is one of the simple part of JMeter, or you can say a simplicity of JMeter, that it will not give you anything preloaded to you. So it's up to you that what exactly you have to use. Just go add that thing into your JMeter and use that. So simply uh, uh, you will be getting only this test plan, but once you click right on this test plan, you will be having add thread user thread group. So simply just add this one, this thread group. For now I believe that this is uh, not exactly clear to you that what exactly it is, but for now just add this. I will give you a solid understanding about this thread group, what exactly this thread group is. Okay, so once you add this thread group, here is a number that how many number of threads are users. Okay, so this is what a now thread group is, which can generate number of users. Okay, so my target is to generate users on a website, and to generate load we have to use this thread group. So say that if I have to generate 100 users load, or if I have to you know load my website with 100 users, I have to use this thread group and put 100 inside this thread group. So this this thread group will generate 100 users, right? Just hold it for now, that this will generate 100 users, but where these 100 users will be generated, what these 100 users will be doing, where these 100 users will be landed, right? So on which website these 100 users are going to hit, right? So I will be giving all these things to you, but this is a thread group, right? And anything that we add using a right click on test plan, we say these things as elements, right? So thread group is an element, setup thread group is an element, tear down is an element, config element, inside config element. So these are each and everything that we have inside JMeter, we refer that thing as a element. So thread group is a element. So we have added a element thread group. Inside that we have put 100 users, right? And since we are going to create a test plan,
and we are going to use that test plan to load any website, to do a performance test of any website. So in order to do that, we have to use sampler. So basically, these are the terminologies that are specific to JMeter only, but for now just accept this terminology, since I have to demonstrate a quick performance testing to you guys. So I will be giving you a better understanding and a good understanding about these terminologies as well, but for now just go to add sampler and add HTTP request. So this is a HTTP request sampler that is going to generate load on your website. Okay, so understand it from here. Say that you have to do a performance test for your website. So this is your website, and you have to do a performance test for n users. I'm not putting exactly number, but you have to do performance testing for n users on your website. And here you have your JMeter. So you have to put n users here hitting your website, right, in this way. Okay, so to generate these n users, what element we required, that is thread group. So this thread group will generate n number of users, like we have put 100 here. So if I have to generate 100 users, those 100 users will be hitting this website. So this is the thread group that can generate those n number of users, right? Since these users will be hitting these websites, so this website must be having different pages. So let's say this have a landing page, this has a search page, this has a add to bag page. So this landing page is having a different URL. This search page is having a different URL. This add to bag page is having a different URL. So to specify that what page we are going to hit, we specify that thing in HTTP request. So this is the HTTP request where we will be putting that what page of my website that we are going to hit, right? So say that I have to hit Snapdeal. For now, let's say that I have to hit www.snapdeal.com launch page, right? So this is the protocol. So my Snapdeal website is running on HTTPS protocol. You can simply specify HTTPS here. Inside server name or IP, I have to put www.snapdeal.com, and path we do not have for now because I have to only hit the launch page. So that's the reason I'm not going to put path, right? So this is a HTTP request. This is a thread group. So thread group will be generating 100 users. Since I'm going to hit snapdeal.com, I'm not going to generate 100 users load on Snapdeal, but I will be using this Snapdeal with single user only. And make sure that if you are going to perform this practical at your own, not to load any website more than single thread, not to load any website more than single threads, since we are not authorized to overload any Flipkart or any Snapdeal or any other website running publicly, and we will not generating more than single thread, and we will not be overloading that website. So it's not legal, and it's not legal, and you should not overload any other website which is running. So since those websites are having their own security mechanism, so they will be blocking your IPs, but we will not be going to overload any website more than one user. We will be doing performance testing of my website which is deployed in my own environment, or which is for which I have access to overload that. So let's say that I have to do performance testing for my company for which I am working for. So I will be generating 100 users or 1000 users based on the requirement. So I will be only generating 100 user, 1000 users, or n number of user, or more than one user if I am authorized to do that, right? Since for demonstration I'm just going to hit snapdeal.com, I will be only generating single thread or single user load on snapdeal.com, right? So these are two elements. First element is thread group, second element is HTTP request, right? So a thread group defines that how many number of users you are going to generate for this website. And this website, this HTTP request define these all those things, that what is the protocol, what is the method that we are going to hit, and what is the URL, not exactly URL, but what is the domain of the website that you are going to hit. So simply I'm going to hit this snapdeal.com. So to create a very basic test plan in JMeter, you have to add three things at least. One is the thread group, one is the HTTP request, which is a sampler, and the next one is the listener. So let me add that, then I will be giving you an overview about listeners. So I have added a view results tree. So you can add view results tree by right clicking on thread group, add listener, view results tree, right? Okay, so what exactly view results tree is? This view results tree is a listener, or you can say it's a result that if you are going to hit this snapdeal.com, so this will show that in what time, so what is the response time of this Snapdeal page is, because we are dealing with the response time and other stuffs here. So we will be knowing that loading snapdeal.com homepage, how much time it's going to take. Okay, so basically there are three things to just to create a very basic test plan. Three things are required. One is the thread group, one is the sampler, which is HTTP request, and third one is the listener, which is the view results tree. So there are different samplers as well, but I have taken HTTP request because I have to hit HTTP website. If you have to do performance test for any different applications, like if you have to do performance testing for database, you have to choose JDBC. If you have to do performance testing for other applications, like if there is a TCP server running, you have to choose TCP samplers. So there are different samplers available to do different performance testings, right? Since at the very beginning we are just going to do performance, just going to do a single test for snapdeal.com, we have taken this HTTP request. So this is one of the important protocol that will be used in 99% of the cases. So all those things, those listeners that are those samplers that are available here will be used in a single percent only. Okay, so measure of the uses that will be covering using this HTTP request only, but I have to cover this JDBC request and a bit understanding about these samplers. There is a course content share that you can refer to. So samplers, we have different samplers here. So like the samplers, we have different listeners as well. So listeners are just the elements that gives you the result. Okay, so I have just added view results tree. So there are different listeners that will be covering in next sessions, coming sessions, but I have just added view results tree. Okay, so now there is a one thing that you can rename these as well. So if you click on any of the element thread group, you can just rename this thread group as well, up to your as per your convenient. And this is a Snapdeal request. I can just rename it as a Snapdeal you know launch page. Okay, so I'm generating one user, and that one user will be hitting snapdeal.com launch page only. And this view results tree will be giving me the data in the sense they're giving me the response time of this Snapdeal launch page. Not only response time, but other things as well. So let's see that what exactly we are getting when we are going to run this in our test plan. So this is a simple test plan that we have created in my JMeter. This is my first very basic test plan. Okay, so this is the start button. So once you click this start button, this test plan will get executed, and this one thread will be completing one iteration because we have a loop count one. So one thread will be hitting this launch page and will completing, right? So nothing will happen again. Nothing will happen again because we are just running one thread with one iteration. So let me quickly run it by clicking start. So once you click start, since this test plan is not saved yet, so if you want, you can just save your test plan, but if you do not want, you can just say no for now, and you will be getting your result as well. But if you want to have this test plan, just click yes and save at any location. For now, I'm not saving this test plan for now. I'm just saying it no. Okay, so this is what the view results tree is. uh, Look at here, my request has started and it has been 10 seconds around. Okay, so my request was started and the total time elapsed was around 10 seconds. And this is what the Snapdeal launch page that was given a hit from my JMeter. So what exactly happened? If you going to understand it from here, this is my JMeter, this is the Snapdeal. So I have generated a single user, one user, and that one user was generated and get hit this snapdeal.com launch page. This is what happened in my test plan that I have just triggered here. Okay, this one user just generated, hit snapdeal.com and get the response back, right? So one user get snapdeal.com launch page responses back to my JMeter. Okay, this is what exactly happened. This one user generated, hit snapdeal.com and get response back to my JMeter, right? So this is what the response time is. If you look at the details, so there are a lot of details available, but I am just making you focus on this load time, right? So this is the load time, right? So this is what 8936. So basically I can say that my this launch page of Snapdeal was loaded in around 9 seconds for me. Okay, so my Snapdeal launch page response time is roughly 9 seconds, right? Okay, so apart from the load time, which we say as response time, there are a lot of things available, like what is the connect time, right? So what is the connect time, what is the latency, what is the size in bytes? So once we hit snapdeal.com, what is the size in the sense, what is the data actually that is coming to me, which is this bytes or 487 KB around, right? What is the size in header? So there are a lot of things, but I'm not going through each and every details right now, but I will be only focusing that what is the response code. So it was 200 OK. This means that my website was able to respond, uh, sending back me proper response, which is 200 OK response in around 9 seconds, right? And if you go through this, there is a different tab as well. So this is the sampler result. This is a request tab, so you will be getting that what request you have exactly done. So this is a get method request, https://www.snapdeal.com, right? So this is the request that you have sent, and what is the response that you are getting? So this is what the HTML response you are getting in return to this request. So there are three tabs available: sample result, request, and response data. So you will be having a look at this response. So this is a pretty much HTML response that we are getting back from snapdeal.com, that we are expecting as well, right? Once we are going to hit launch page, we will be getting a response as well. All right, so there are different views as well. If you go to view results tree, you can change the view of this results tree. So there is a drop down here. Just if you click here, you will be getting different view like HTML. So you can have this result in a HTML formatted view. You can click on HTML, and basically, since there is no JavaScript or other things included, you will be getting a almost HTML kind of view of this page. So this is what the HTML kind of view we are getting of this page, where there are a lot of things available. Shirtman, so these are the trending searches. So basically looking at this response, I can say that my response was properly good to me that I got from Flipkart. Okay, so this is a thread group basically, and this is a HTTP request, which is a sampler where we have define all those things that what exactly we are going to hit. Even you can change this, and in place of Snapdeal you can hit google.com. Okay, so I have Snapdeal here, but I have just changed it to google.com, so I need to just rename it from Snapdeal to Google, so that you will be getting Google in result. And let me run it again. You want to save your test plan? No. Okay, so now I will be getting, okay, so I hit Google and I got response as well. See, looks like Google search page. It's giving me a search box and a Google search. So what is the response time that we got? It was loaded in around 4.16 second. So this is in millisecond. My bad, I have not given you the unit of this. So this is the response time giving me in millisecond, right? Even if you have a look about this launch page, this is in milliseconds, Snapdeal launch page. So 8936 millisecond is 8.9 second. For Google it is 4.1 second, right? So this is what the response that time that I am getting for these pages, Google and Snapdeal. Okay, so basically, to do a performance test of any website, you need to add very first three things: thread group, sampler, and listener. You have to specify that what exactly website you are going to hit. So I'm again making it snapdeal.com and renaming it to Snapdeal launch page. Okay, so now if I have to run this Snapdeal again, but looking at this, I have to let me have another one. Let's say that I have to again hit this Snapdeal. This is Snapdeal. This is my JMeter. I have to again hit this with single user only, but I have to hit Snapdeal launch page, which is snapdeal.com. But for single user, I have to hit it once, getting response back, again hit, getting response back. So I have to iterate it 5 times. I have to make a request to snapdeal.com. It gives me response back. Again, I have to make a request. Once I get the response back, again, I have to make a request to snapdeal.com. I have to get response back. So I have to do this 5 times. So a single user will be hitting snapdeal.com, getting response back, hitting again, getting back, hitting again, doing this 5 times, right? So I'm just going to do that 5 times and getting the response time of those different 5 samples. That what is the response time in first sample, second sample, third sample, fourth sample, and then I'm going to do a average of those 5 samples, right? So there are a lot of things that we have to learn yet. So we will be learning about aggregate kind of thing. So what we do, why we do average, why we do what is 90 percentile, what is 99 percentile, what is median. So a lot of terminologies that we will be required in doing performance tests, we will be going to cover as well. So I got a question in between that from Preeti Singhal, that what is latency here. So Preeti, latency is something in JMeter, like I will give you a picture. So this is your JMeter, this is your Snapdeal. So once you start your request, okay, your request is started, so you just triggered your request from here, from this start button, okay. But uh, say that at point n, you just triggered your start button, right? But there is something that your JMeter has to understand that request. Okay, it has to stabilize connection to the internet, and again it has to send that request to your Snapdeal, right? So there is something in between that your JMeter has to stabilize connection, right? And your request will be sent to snapdeal.com. Your Snapdeal got that request. Okay, it has done some processing. Okay, so it has generated that HTML, and that HTML response is sent back to JMeter, right? So this is happening in between. So you just click on start button, your JMeter will look for internet connection, get a DNS lookup. Okay, if DNS is already done, it will get a HTTPS secure connection. It will be there will be three-way handshake in between, and then it will connect to snapdeal.com. Once it connect to snapdeal.com, your response will get generated and get back to your JMeter, right? So the moment you get the response back at JMeter, that is the time. So this is the time from here to here is included in latency. So your request started, get back to Snapdeal, and the moment you got the first response at your JMeter is till the time is included in latency. So there are other. Uh, do you have to talk? Is anyone on the phone?
Yeah, hello. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, yes, please. Yes,
Uh,
yes.
if, sir, as you told here that don't use any other website, sir. Suppose if I will use Flipkart or Amazon or any other website, and
Right, right.
instead of putting one user, I can put 100 user. So they are going to block the IP. But the answer, but the result, can I get the result? Means I do the
Basically,
Amazon and
right, right.
do whatever I want, and then the answer will I will get it.
See,
Is the
there are few things that what is exactly your objective is.
to check the, suppose Amazon, and suppose I just wanted to do the comparison, I will do with the Amazon as well as at the same time I will do the Snap, sir, and 100 user I can just hit.
But this is not your objective. Is even
Just I
you
just wanted
cannot.
to calculate which website is much faster than Amazon or Flipkart or Snapdeal.
All right. So since we are dealing about performance testing, let me have my words first, and I will give you an answer as well.
Okay.
So we are dealing with the performance testing, and my role and responsibility is to do performance testing, having a objective to find out that how fast is my application is, right? What is the response time, what is the responsiveness of my application at n number of users. Okay, so I must be a authorized person to have to do those kind of things. Okay, first thing, because I am a performance testing engineer, a performance engineer, I must be authorized to do performance testing of my own application only. Coming back to your question, you are not authorized to do performance testing, or you are not authorized to load any public website, because there is a law as well. If you are going to do that, you are against that law. First thing, you can do that, no problem, you can definitely do that, but there is something, security policy that works behind any application, either it's Flipkart, Amazon, Google, or anything. So they have certain security policy. So if you're going to hit Amazon or Flipkart or Snapdeal or any website, your website, your IP address will be marked. So basically there is a general policy that I'm giving you an example that what kind of policy they have. They check that if there is a request coming from a single IP address more than 5 times in a single minute, block that IP address. So such kind of policy they do have. I'm not sure that what exactly policy they can have in your case, but if they do not have such policy, probably you will be able to hit overload that website. But you are not, since you are not authorized to do that, I'm not supposing any of you to do that, but definitely you can do that and you will be getting your response back as
Okay. Just one simple question, sir. We
well.
are putting the lot of load on the website, right?
Right, right, right.
Right, and so, sir, and at the same time the website is getting the stress also, right?
Exactly.
So, sir, then what is the difference between the load and the stress? The people are mostly the asks about the load and the stress. At the same time, that we are giving the load, at the same time the website is having the stress. So then, what's is the difference between the load and the stress? How they are going to be differ? About only the time, or the coming time we are putting the load, that is called the load, and that at the same time the result is coming, that is called the stress. At how many
I got your question
yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
I got your
Thank you,
question.
sir.
Since these things are already aligned in my next sessions, but since you are asking this, I'm definitely going to answer you. Okay, so there are a few different things. We have different type of testing, like load testing, stress testing, endurance testing, volume testing. So there are different testings. Like we are going to cover those testing as well. But for a quick answer to Ankur, I'm just giving you this, right? So first thing that
Sir,
if you are
Ujjwal.
aware about your website, that Ujjwal, sorry, I'm sorry. So if you are aware about your website, okay, if you already have a baselining, I'm not sure that how many of you are aware about this baseline word, but if you are not, so if you are going to do performance testing very first time of your website, you will not be able to differentiate about the load and stress. Okay, so first thing, you need to do performance testing of your website. You must be having some data, previous data. So these things will be covered in coming session, that what is the strategy that we do performance testing, how we can exactly compare about my performance is improved or it's worst. So those things will be covered, but for now, let's talk about load and stress directly. So there is a load testing that most of the people getting confused about this, and there is a stress testing, right? So if I know the capacity of my website, if I know that running 500 users on my website gives me a sorry, gives me a response time of 5 seconds, right? On the server side, my CPU is utilized 60%, my memory is utilized 65%, right? This is this is a load test that we regularly do for my website on any changes in my website, in my build or any specific changes. I do 500 user test and I get roughly 5 second of response time. On the server side, I get 60% CPU utilized, memory 65% utilized. So there are certain different parameters as well to monitor, to include server side as well, but for now. But if you see, I still have some buffer. Since I'm just using 500 users here, and my response time is 5 seconds, and say that business is able to sustain up to 8 second, right? But I'm just getting 5 second only, right? And at the server end as well, I have a 60% CPU utilized, memory is 65% utilized, but I still have a buffer to go up to 80%, right? Even for memory as well, I have a buffer to go up to around 80 to 85%. So there is a buffer remains here at the server end, and even at the client, even at the JMeter and at the user end as well. So this kind of testing uh, is this is a simple load testing, but we plan for a testing where I will be reaching that limit: 80% CPU, 85% memory, and I will be roughly touching about 8 seconds of time. Okay, so to do that, definitely I need to increase the number of users. Probably those users could be 700, I'm sorry, those users could be around 700 or around 650. Okay, so if I plan a test to find out the maximum capacity of my application, so that test will be included as a stress test. So a stress test is a test that will find out a maximum point of your application, and you can say a maximum capacity of your application, and beyond that capacity your application will not be able to sustain. So that is the stress test. So that is a boundary test that will be doing that will be evaluating the actual limit of your application. That is a stress test. But for load test, we do not reach at the end of your um, application limit. Make sense? Okay, fair. So where we are just going to iterate this 5 times, and we are going to calculate the average kind of things from those 5 samples. Coming back to this, so we were on Snapdeal test plan, where we are going to iterate hitting Snapdeal 5 times repeatedly. Okay. uh, Yes, so there is a question from Preeti that once we are going to iterate those five time for a single user, you are going to iterate 5 times. So do we consider that in calculating response time? Definitely, we are going to consider that, since we are considering average response time 90th percentile, 99 percentile. So single hit will not make any sense in any performance testing. Okay, so coming back to my test plan. Okay, so I have a launch page here, which is snapdeal.com, and I have a single thread group with single user. So I have to iterate this 5 times, right? So what I have to do, I have to just put 5 here, since it's the loop count, and it asking me that how many loop count you want. So I want 5 loop count. So what will happen, my single thread will generate it here. It will hit snapdeal.com. It will look any other element that is not there apart from this view results tree. So this will be executed, but there is nothing, no more samplers in my test plan. So one loop count is completed. Again, my user come back to this thread group and will be hitting this launch page. So this will be happen 5 times. So I have given this a 5 loop. If you mark it forever, it will be continue iterating unless you manually stop that. But we're not going to do that. So I'm just giving it a 5. Since I already have a number here, okay, so that number will get an average with this previous number. So I have to clear that data. So to clear that previous result, simply there is a clear, and there is a clear all. Okay, so clear all will clear all the results from this view results tree, and clear will only clear selected. Okay, so if there are more than more than one view results tree here, even you can add more than view results tree as well, or even there are different listeners, like you can add say aggregate report. So clear will only be clearing the result from the selected listener, but clear all will clear result from all the listeners. So if you have results in all these 3 listeners and you want to clear all these, the results of these 3, you can just do clear all. Doesn't matter for now. So I have added 2 view results tree, so I'm going to delete that by clicking right and remove. Yes. So I have added one more listener as well, which is aggregate report. So this listener will show me a detailed data about this Snapdeal launch page. I will be getting average, median, and all those numbers as well, right? So let me repeat that test with 5 iteration for a single thread snapdeal.com. Just starting it, saving now. So if you look at the view results tree, my 1, 3, 4, 5 quickly. It's a nice thing. So my 5 iterations are completed, right? So view results tree will give you a detailed view about each and every sampler. The first was loaded in this much of time. Second was loaded in this much of time. Third one is loaded in this much of time. and you will be getting data of these listeners as well. But if you have to look at the very summarized kind of thing, you can refer to this aggregate report listener. So aggregate report listener will show you. Okay, so aggregate report listener will show you this much of detail. So this is this is a page which is having a label Snapdeal launch page, and it has a 5 samples. So 5 samples in the sense it was repeated 5 times, and the average of those 5 samples are 715 millisecond. Median is 629 milliseconds. So these are the number that we are not going to be in a very detailed manner. We will be covering these terminologies in coming sessions. And look at this, error is 0%. So we have 0% error. If your website is not responding well and not giving you 200 okay back, but gives you 500 or some different other codes, this will be included in errors. I have a raise hand. Ankur Thakur, do you have to talk? Ankur, I have given you an opportunity if you want to talk. There is a lot of disturbance from your side, Ankur.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Well, I'm audible right now.
Yes, yes, you are audible. Please tell me.
I mean, I need to know few things like what is median, 90%, 95, and throughput.
Right, right. Okay, since these are the terminologies, and this requires a bit of practical kind of thing, so I will be demonstrating those things probably in tomorrow's session in a detailed manner. But for now, let's say that this is the average. The average is simply just sum up the numbers and divide by the samples, number of sample counts. So this is the average. Median is what you have to arrange the number in a ascending order. And if you have 10 samples, the fifth one is the median. So actually, if I go into the detail, it will take a bit of time in a detailed understanding. So I will be definitely trying to cover these all these terminologies in tomorrow's session.
Okay.
But if you talk about the 90 percentile, this shows that out of so there are 5 samples. So 90% of these 5 samples, which is around 4 or 4.5 samples, are below 660 millisecond. And same way, 95% is the number that the 95% of total samples are below 1356 millisecond. So not to worry about these terminologies. I will be covering these terminologies in a detailed manner and in a practical manner as well. I will demonstrate these uh, how these calculations are done in Excel sheet as well, and you will be getting a better coverage about these terminologies. Throughput is exactly what the number of hits we are making. So we are making 1.4 hits per second. So in a single second we are doing 1.4 hits total.
It's an average of 5 users, na? Or it's
Yeah,
one
it's the
instance.
average of 5. It's the average of 5. So including these 5, so these 5 hits are making a average 1.4 hits per second. So in a single second we have done 1.4 hits to Snapdeal.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. And one more thing, what is ramp up period? Like you have mentioned user 5 and
Right.
ramp up
So
1.
I got your point. So there are a lot of terminologies. I told you that the single session will not be enough to just cover those terminologies. So this was just an overview kind of session that what exactly we are going to do in performance testing. So by default, if you look at these thread groups, so ramp up period is only 1 second. Since we are having only single user, the ramp up period is 1 second. Even I have not covered these ramp up periods and kind of things. I am not sure that most of you guys are having a bit of performance background or not. So that's the reason I have not gone into a detail of ramp up duration and ramp down kind of things. I just tried to giving a better understanding or a ease understanding for all of you, just to give you a ease understanding of these performance concepts for now.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Amit,
Yeah.
after this session, I need to know some few things regarding the configuration and regarding some sampler. Once you complete your session, then I will ask I will ask my question.
Um, Actually, your voice is not so clear, but what I have understood from your, from this discussion, that once you will be having these coming sessions, you will be definitely having those concepts and all those stuffs that are related to, performance testing and JMeter. Since this is the very first session, I was not gone in a very much detail of each and everything, and this was just an overview. So if you're going to, join this session, definitely you will be getting a very solid background of this, all these terms and terminologies. And since I'm working in a, actively in a industry, so whatever exactly happens in industry, so whatever the terminologies that is being used in industry and the way that we work in industry, so I will make you, familiar of those terms and terminologies with a relation of JMeter and performance testing.
Yeah, okay.
All right, so coming back to this, we have aggregate report where we have collected 5 sample of this snapdeal.com having average of 715 millisecond, right? Meanwhile, I believe that I got a question. Just a minute, guys. Okay, so like in single thread, we can hit both website with 100 users. Yes, exactly. Like in a single thread, you can have multiple website and multiple pages as well. Since I have added only Snapdeal launch page, even you can add a different page. Just control C, make a control C, or just right click copy and just go to thread group and just to do a paste. So this is the launch page, and you can just rename this launch page to search page as well. And since we are going to make it a search page, I have to change the URL, just add a path as well. But how you can exactly do that, if you go to snapdeal.com, and search for something, just give me a minute. So if you search for jeans, so once you search for jeans, so this is what the URL that is generated. So you can add that into path as well. So this is the portion that we already have. So this is the search portion. So you can have this in your post, in your search page, and once you hit this, it will be getting this search page with a search keyword jeans. So in this way, we can design our test plan to just create a flow, what exactly that we have to perform activity on my website. You can just add those pages. Again, we can have add to bag page. Again, we can have uh, before add to bag, we can have product detail page, add to bag page, payment page, and then place order page. So we can do scripting of my website. For that, we have to do performance test. So you can have multiple pages, different pages. uh, Instead of adding those pages manually, we can record our website as well. You can do a recording of my website so that all those pages will automatically get added into my thread group, so that we can make our test plan very quickly. Okay, so definitely you can add multiple pages. Okay, so there is a question from Preeti that are we going to cover API and UI in upcoming sessions? So UI is not covered, Preeti, but API testing we have. I will giving you a background of API testing, and you will be able to create your API test plan, that how exactly you can create your test plan for doing API testing. Since by the time you will be get involved in API testing, you will be having a uh, good understanding of performance testing, so it will not be a problem to do API testing for your website as well. So UI testing we are not going to cover, but I will be giving you an understanding about UI, that what exactly happens at UI end and what exactly happened at the server end. We are going to basically cover the server side performance testing using this JMeter, and not the UI one, but the API will be covered. Okay, so there is another question from Arun Bansal, that how we will get to know if high response time is due to client side issue like slow internet, or due to server side issues. So all these things, all these concepts will be you will be able to derive on your own by having different concepts and different terminologies. Basically, we are going to cover these in a detailed manner by doing performance testing at server side. So once your server is responding things in 2 seconds of time, and you are getting that data back on your client end at let's say 3 seconds of time, then must be your client should render those things quickly. If you know that your server is responding in 2 seconds, and your client is getting, your client say that browser is getting that data in 3 seconds, so whatever time is taken, you can include that in UI. So I will be aggregating those things, how exactly you can get an insight that where your time is going. It's if you are doing something, uh, if you have to distinguish between UI and server side performance, you can easily distinguish. If your client is complaining that my response time is more than 5 seconds, 10 seconds, but if you know that your server is responding in 2 seconds, so there must be some issues going on at the client end only. There must be some rendering issue, there must be some location issue, there must be some network bandwidth issue, there must be some uh, interconnection issue, or there must be some intermediate hops that are dropping something. So you will be able to uh, you know just point out the area by understanding all those concepts, that where exactly my problem lies. Either it's at the server end or at the client end, or it's something that in between. Okay. All right, so we have tomorrow demo session as well. So tomorrow class will be I will continue the tomorrow session based on today's session as well. So since we have just created this test plan, so I will be continuing this test plan to move to tomorrow session. I will be generating HTML report on, and I will show you how you can exactly generate HTML report, and few other topics will be covered tomorrow as well, like we discussed about different type of testings. Okay, and we will try to cover those recordings and other stuffs as well. So I will present the tomorrow agenda in tomorrow session, tomorrow at 10 a.m. IST. Okay, so for now, just have your questions. If you have any of the questions that you guys have to put. Uh,
Amit,
Meanwhile, let me check. Yes, please.
Amit, I'm good. Right?
Yeah, Ankur.
Amit, I need to know some configuration requirement. Like, if I run to JMeter script, what is the minimum requirement to run the script? Like, is RAM and the system requirement of the RAM? Can you please tell me?
Right. So you want to know the system configuration to run any script?
Like right now I'm doing I'm also doing a performance testing in my organization.
All right.
So while running the script, more than 100 users,
Right.
suddenly due to load or due to complication, suddenly the
Right.
internet system hang and the internet is not working. Internet was not working. So
Right.
at
Right.
that time, I need to restart my system. So and basically I'm new in the performance testing. So in my organization, um, there's this kind of problem. A lot of people is facing this kind of issues, and no team is and no performance team is there in my organization to resolve this issue. So can you please
All right. So
tell?
so there are a lot of things can happen at that point of time. First thing that uh, I'm not sure that what exactly the setup that you have to do performance testing. So um, I know since you have just given me 2 or 3 points, but to be in a actual performance test situation, I need to be aware a lot of things, that what exactly setup that you have, where your application lies, that you are going to, that you are doing performance test for that. Are you running performance test from your local machine, or the system that is inside the network where your servers are?
No,
And
I'm running the script on my own system, and there is a separate load environment.
separate load environment, but you are just loading that load environment from your local machine, right?
Right, right.
So there are many things, right? You exactly, first thing, that you exactly cannot do a performance test from your local system, since the server, which is your local environment, is not in your in premises. I believe that those are hosted somewhere else, like any
Right, right,
different data
right.
centers. So first thing, that there is a network gap in between, right? I believe that you are not exactly monitoring the server response time, but you are monitoring the response time at your client end. So there is a latency included in your response time first.
Okay.
Not sure that what is the bandwidth, network bandwidth, that you are getting on your machine. Probably if you are increasing the number of users, the volume of the network is increased, and the bandwidth that you are getting at your system is not enough to handle that volume in the sense the data that is getting back from your server in response is not enough, is quite enough to be handled at your system.
Okay.
Probably your system memory is not enough, or your JMeter is not occupied with enough memory to handle those much of activities. Probably you are having a lot of listeners, graph listeners inside your test plan. So there are a lot of things to consider, right? But I will say that you will be getting all these things, and you will be able to identify each and every element. First thing, that there are a lot of gaps that you are doing performance testing. There are a lot of gaps that you have to feel first, and there are few things, performance practices, that you have to adopt first. Then I can say that what exactly the problem you are facing. But looking at the few points that you have given me, there are many things that are looking problem for me for now.
So is there any issue in like system configuration, like its RAM, currently, and
Yes,
micro
exactly.
storage
Yes,
or
exactly.
VRAM?
Yes, exactly. There are few things that you have to consider at your system level as well. You have to increase the memory occupied by JMeter. First thing, that how much RAM you have in your system, okay, and how much you have given RAM to JMeter, and how many load you are running. So are are is your JMeter able to generate those users smoothly, the data that is coming back quickly, is your JMeter is able to handle that data or not? So just considering few things, that first try to increase your system JMeter memory, that what exactly memory is assigned to JMeter, since this is there are a lot of peoples as well in this session. I believe that this conversation is not uh, getting easy for those people, but for you, just at a first step, just add some more memory to your JMeter. If you do not aware about JMeter, that how to add memory, just drop me a mail. I will give you steps that how exactly you can add more memory to your JMeter, and try first, okay? And even if you get some issues there, so definitely we have to identify some different areas.
Okay. Thanks, Avi.
No problem, guys. Do you have any question? Because we have already completed our 2 hours, and I believe that we will be continuing this demo session for tomorrow as well. But for now, just have your questions if you have any. Just let me add a few things, that during this entire session, we will be covering a lot of topics. Just refer to the course content that we have shared, and these sessions will be entirely practical session. So we will be covering very less theory part, since this was the very first session. That's the reason I was given a lot of terminologies and background kind of things to make you things clear. So first 2 or 3 sessions will be a bit theory part, but the next sessions, coming sessions after first and second, will be completely a practical based session, and we will be doing practical. We'll be creating live scenarios, creating live test plans using these shared screen, and doing practical kind of things only, basically. Apart from performance testing, since JMeter we are going to use most of the features that you are going to get during your performance testing journey. We will be covering all those entire required elements uh, from the JMeter end. Apart from that, if you have any specific requirement that you will be needed uh, apart from these course content, I will definitely helping in that situation to you, helping that out. I will be giving you an insight about the server side testing as well, that what exactly we can monitor at the server end. Basically, most of the institutes that are providing performance testing course will be giving you a good insight at the JMeter end only, but not at the server end. But we are going to cover a bit part about the server end as well. All right, so a lot of things to cover. Just go to the course content and check. And a few things that I would like to add. Probably, I believe that most of you guys received a email from the Raman where these details are already mentioned. A day 2 session detail is mentioned there. Even the course content is there. Even the what is the fee of these course, duration of these course is also mentioned there, right? So basically, it will be taking 12 to 13 sessions to cover all those course content. So Saturday, Sunday, 2 hours each, and 12 to 30 days around 2 hours. All right. So if you have guys any question, meanwhile, just have those questions, or we will continue to tomorrow's session by just including having these background. We will proceed to the next topics. All right, guys. So if you have any question, so not to hesitate to drop me a mail on this jmeter@way2automation.com. I will be available there to answer your questions, and I hope to see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. IST. All right. So thanks for joining.
Thanks, Amit.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks for joining all. Take care. Bye bye.